Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to another episode of Mythical. If you're new to Mythical, I talk about fantasy and sci-fi cartoons. If that sounds interesting, then consider subscribing. Anyway, well, for this video, I actually didn't write a script. I do write them for some, and as someone commented recently, I should probably keep writing scripts. But for this one, I'm just going to be ranting about the greatest episode and season finale of Season 2 of Amphibia True Colors. Honestly, this episode, there were some parts that were... I rarely ever get emotional during cartoons. I think there's only been like one time, but there was one part, even though through the spoilers I know it was coming, it was just horrible. And that was, I should probably tell everyone, spoilers ahead. If you have not seen True Colors, what are you doing? You gotta go watch it. Anyway, of course, I know this part made a lot of people sad, but when Marcy got stabbed by King Andrews, it just... Amphibia to this point had been pretty like... Nothing much had really happened. Like, no characters had really died, no characters had been in severe peril. I could probably name a few times where they had been, but nothing really that bad had happened. So when that happened, I was kind of like, no. And even though we figured out Marcy was, well, not the completely great character we always knew she was, it was still really sad to see her go. Even though, as we can see in the Season 3 intro, she's going to be kind of coming back, or recovering at least. So anyway, one thing I did actually kind of like about this, which some people didn't, is we got some really good character arcs. Some might argue we got better character arcs in this episode than we did in the entire rest of the season. Especially, I think, for the three main characters, Anne, Marcy, and Sasha. Sasha, of course, we saw that she was good at heart. As we see at the end, instead of sort of saving her own skin and just getting her and Grime and the rest of the Toasted Can out of there, she decided to stay back and fight King Andrews to let everyone else through, which I thought was great. Even though she's still kind of an evil character, she's starting to get her redemption arc, and I think Grime is too, which I'd actually kind of be okay with. And Marcy, of course, we find out that she actually was the one who technically brought them to Amphibia. She found out about the Calamity Box, which was somehow, there was a book written on Earth, which I might theorize about later. But after she found out about that, she brought them to Amphibia. And it's kind of showed that she doesn't really want to stay on Earth, I guess. She loves the adventuring life, the fantasy, the magic, and all that. That's what she likes. And so she kind of brought them to Amphibia without them knowing, which kind of, in my opinion, added a lot of character to her. It didn't make her just the one-sided, like, happy-go-lucky, great friend she is, but with all this new motivation, like I've already said, and depth added, it's just, I like her so much more as a character. And, of course, Anne, I feel like she didn't actually get that much in this episode, except, of course, powers, which I'm actually alright with. Like, sword fighters are kind of the stereotypical warrior, so now that Anne has, like, her own special ability, it just makes her more of a unique main character. So, like I've already said, General Udon is one of my top 3 characters in all the cartoons I've ever watched, so it was, of course, fun to see her again. Now we have the two biggest kind of armies in the show. We have the Toad Army, and then we have the robots. The Toad Army I actually really liked. It kind of introduced more of a Lord of the Rings-y aspect to it. Like, you have Newtopia, the Great Castle, and then you have other armies around. Newtopia isn't the only powerhouse out there. I kind of liked with the whole season, they introduced more of, like, the Toad culture and the Toad strength and everything. You have the 4 towers, which one of them eventually got destroyed. But I did really like the Toad Army and how they were eventually going to overthrow Newtopia. Well, I've used the word depth a lot. I'm sorry if I'm overthrowing it, but adding more armies, more entities, more of that does add more depth to the story. So I'm really glad they have the Toad Army. And the robots, of course, I thought they were great too. I mean, it kind of, like, King Andrews, of course, he has his Newtopian things, but as far as, like, dictatorships go, he didn't actually have that much power. Of course, until he was able to power the robots again, then he can assembly line an army, which is kind of awesome, actually. Okay, well, not awesome for the main characters, but I really like powerful villains. When some villains nowadays, they have no power, they don't have, like, backstory and stuff, and I think there are 3 things that make a great villain: backstory, motivation, and power. King Andrews has all 3 of those, which is, of course, awesome. So I'm kind of glad that he has the whole robots going on. You know what, this rant might actually have to come to an end soon. The last thing, of course, is them going to the real world, which I'm going to be 100% honest, I'm not completely looking forward to. I think I'll make a separate episode sometime, but in short, changing of scenery like drastically, and the mood and stuff can really affect a show. As seen in Tangled, well, Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, it was actually like, I wasn't expecting much. I thought it would just be another shameless Disney sequel ripoff, but the Tangled series was actually like okay. Like I was kind of into it, and then season 2 they changed all the scenery, they changed a whole bunch of things, and it wasn't good from there on. So Amphibia, they can still definitely make a great third season, and I have a lot of hope with the show, but we will see. Anyway, True Colors was of course the greatest episode. I'm going to go as far to say the greatest episode in all of cartoon history, at least that I've seen so far. It had epic battles, epic character arcs, it was funny, there were some parts I laughed at, and a whole bunch of other things. So, there we have it. There is my longest episode yet, actually, I think. Probably. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this rant on the True Colors season finale of Amphibia. If you like this kind of stuff, then consider subscribing and staying tuned for more. And also, one more thing, if you have any, like, videos you want to see, or like specific shows or subjects you want me to talk about, put them in the comments, because that's one thing, like my videos get very, very different results. So whatever you guys want to see, put them down and I'll probably get around to it. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Have an absolutely exceptional day today, and goodbye.